This is Holly.
Hello, this is Christy.
We are a sister duo, and together we have conversations we weren't having anywhere else. So if you've been asking yourself, is this it? Pull up a chair. This is Henlet's Collective. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast, where we are going to be talking about how our brains make movies while you sleep. I don't know if everyone is like this, but I can remember some of my dreams even years later. And you know how some dreams don't even stay in your sleep, they follow you your whole day. I have a question though. So, what makes one dream disappear, but then another one stays? It's an interesting concept, dreaming. Do you think it's scientific or do you think it's an art?
It's such an interesting topic. And as we dive more into it, we want to introduce our guest. This is Caitlin. This is Holly's daughter, and she is really passionate about dreams. And we absolutely love that she is on here with us today. So say hi, Katie.
Hi, everyone.
So I believe that dreams are a way for our minds to maybe connect with things throughout the day, premonitions, things that you may think about, or maybe it's just a way that your mind thinks. Maybe you've had too much sugar and your mind is racing. You just don't know. I personally have a lot of dreams and I dream a lot and I remember quite a few of my dreams. So this is a really fun episode for me.
For sure, dreaming definitely is linked to the brain's processing of your emotions, your memories, you know, during your sleep. And then if you have like say recurring dreams, often they could reflect possibly unresolved stress or situations that your brain is trying to process. So our brains are very powerful aspect of the human body, right? So they control everything. So your brain is awake, which is dreaming, but your body is sleeping. It's like when you're trying to run in your dream, but your muscles are so relaxed they're not moving, but your brain is trying to tell your muscles to get going. That's why you run really slow. I don't know if you guys ever kind of knew that, but the kind of dreams that I think the most popular, we're going to talk about the peeing dreams, right? The urinating dreams, the sex dreams, the running dreams, the teeth dreams, and even possibly the weird dreams. But, there's been pretty considerable research into unraveling the neuroscience and psychology behind dreams. Sigmund Freud started that a long time ago, and then obviously the more considerable research. But, everyone dreams. It's just on how the content and their effect on sleep can obviously vary pretty dramatically.
So I think the reason why I love this episode and why I'm so fascinated with how our minds work in dreams is because of how much I dream and some of the premonition dreams that I've had. And I'll get into that later in the podcast. But Katie, I want you to tell me, why are you like, I can't really say obsessed, but what makes you love dreaming so much, or the thought of dreaming, or the meaning of dreaming?
Um, so I actually rarely dream anymore. I can't remember even the last dream that I had. Very occasionally do I wake up and I remember that I did dream something, but I can't recall anything from that dream. What I'm passionate about is there is a large portion of my life where I was lucid dreaming, and it kind of hand in hand with that, I was suffering from sleep paralysis. So I can get into that later while you guys still want to talk about regular dreams for now. But yeah, I don't really dream anymore. I miss it, honestly.
All right. Well,
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, why do we dream? You know, our brain is building memory, processing emotion. It's kind of even mental housekeeping, and it's instant replaying everything that happened. And sometimes it's just incidental brain activity. So I have every kind of dream that there is out there.
Me too.
And I kind of, I always say I'm not creative, but my brain is just constantly, it could be the ADHD for sure, the ADHD, just constantly going, even in sleep. I know I have nightmares. I have a lot of pee dreams. I have a lot of teeth falling out dreams. And
Have you researched, Holly, have you researched on what those specific dreams mean?
yeah, yes. However, I'm very black and white in my belief. So that's why I don't believe in hypnosis. I don't believe in dream interpretation because I think it's a crock of, you know, selling snake oil. And yes,
I
I
mean, but
do.
there's got to be like a theory behind some of the meanings, right?
Sure. And I do believe that the brain does try to process something that you're thinking about or something that you may have watched or something that had happened. And that's the only way your brain can do it is through your dreams. But on some of these sites, and it's such an art to interpretation. That's why it's so controversial to interpret the dreams. And so, yes, when doing research, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't believe any of that. How you're trying to fulfill something in your life, whether it's financial, trying to get to your emotional breakthrough, etc. I don't believe that, although it could possibly be true. I feel that my brain just doesn't know how to stop going. And I have always been very vivid in my imagination, period, whether I'm awake or sleeping. And I think that that comes through either through the
So
nightmares or something.
after you dream, after you dream like, your teeth falling out or whatever, do you wake up and do you remember vividly like how that happened, what was going on to make that happen or whatever?
But the teeth falling out, I can't say what prompted them to fall out. I just know I'm always trying to like catch them as they're a bloody mess just piling out of my mouth. It's just, and Kayla and I were talking, off air, but we both are very particular about our teeth. We always want to have healthy hygiene. And I'm always like afraid that my teeth are just because I have terrible teeth issues. And I've already had to pull a couple just because I was tired of the pains. And I'm always afraid that I'm just going to be, toothless with.
I have the same fear,
Me
and I
too.
think that's probably why we have that dream is just because it's a fear that's so rooted in our brain chemistry that it's just naturally occurring. Like people who have arachnophobia are gonna dream of spiders, you know? That's just the way it is, and unfortunately, there's no way to come around it unless you can stop having that fear, which is usually unlikely, but it is what it is. But I agree. I never
I don't know.
remember how it starts. I just remember like them
Yeah.
falling out, and I
Yeah.
don't know what prompted to get to that point. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And
My
it's not
dreams
just
are so stupid sometimes.
yeah, it's not like one tooth. It's like all my teeth are trying to all come out, and
It
it's
always
just like
starts as one, and then it's like
yeah,
another,
like
and then all of a sudden they all just start
yeah,
piling
like
out.
yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had that dream, guys.
Oh wow. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't
Chris, do you grind your teeth at night?
I used to, but I've also had some teeth issues, and so I stopped because I had to have a thing put in my mouth. So I had to
Yeah, I
stop
think we've all
grinding.
had that night guard put in because,
Okay.
Yeah.
but even in my sleep, I would spit out the night guard so I could grind my teeth. I, d-
Jeez.
but I haven't, I haven't done that for a really long time. I still
See,
had
but I
teeth.
also feel like maybe sometimes our own anxieties and fears that we, are living with day to day, that they really have a play into how we dream at night. And so sometimes I feel like if you have that dream, I have dreams of my hair thinning, and it is, right? And so I think that sometimes our normal day-to-day life really plays out in our dreams. And we don't want it to, but it just happens.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I say our brains are constantly trying to process what has happened during the day, whether that's through dreaming or not. But I don't believe in dreams have, like, people, when I did research, people who dreamt about their teeth falling out, they represented people. I I I don't believe that. I mean, my teeth just fell out because I'm afraid of my teeth are going to fall out. Why can't something just be the way that it's supposed to be? Why does it have to have some meaning behind it?
Well, when I looked up the teeth falling out interpretation, I came across it meaning that you were lying about something in your life and you were holding on to that guilt, and it was its way of coming out of you.
See, so exactly. So it depends on which website you go to
And
as
when
far.
I researched it, it came up with you have a lot of anxieties and fears in your life.
So,
So,
look, it's just hilarious how dreams are. Now, the way dreams are interpreted through all these studies that people do is because people have to, one, remember their dream and be sure to write it down in detail, which takes training. And two, they have to have some type of other connections from the psychologists who do these dream interpretations. But whether it's family stress, financial, physical, there's so many attributes to what makes our dreaming possible.
how often do your dreams wake you up? And this is to both of you.
A lot.
Well, I told you I don't dream anymore, so never.
Yeah, but when you did dream,
Mhm.
how often did it wake you up?
Pretty often, but again, I'm a different special exception case, whatever you want to call it, and I'll get into my personal experiences with dreaming. But from the regular dreams, I don't know, not very unless it was a nightmare. I remember waking up kind of peacefully from dreams, not necessarily like it having woke me up.
So
Okay.
when so that's actually what I was going to say. Some dreams, and you can train your brain to dream a certain way, but let's talk about like nightmares. People always say, "Oh, I had a nightmare." So a nightmare can wake you up out of sleep. That's what a nightmare is. And other dreams you just blissfully wake up. So that's the distinct difference between like waking you up out of your sleep or just kind of like you're dozing, I guess, so to speak.
So it's interesting, though, to think about when you have just a regular dream. Like last night, I don't know why I dream about my hair so much, but I dreamt about conditioner and putting conditioner on my hair. It was so stupid, right? But then other nights, the dream is so vivid and so nightmarish that I wake up almost and screaming, and I've yelled and I start crying because I have such vivid nightmares. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, if your day kind of precedes what happens, or if it's because your thoughts are kind of overrunning when you go to sleep, or you're reading a book or something you see on your phone just kind of triggers those nightmares.
So, sure, some of the common causes would be obviously stress and anxiety, medications, or just sleep disorders and disruptions, substance abuse and lifestyle factors. Obviously, there's psychological and environmental factors, and then just natural brain processes. So that's typically most of the causes of having dreams. Now, I am very particular. Like, I don't usually have caffeine after 2 p.m. to get my brain all jittery before bed because it'll last 12 hours or whatever. I obviously eat sugar. I like sweets, especially at night, especially right after dinner. Um, the sugar
That's a big
intake.
thing.
Yeah, sugar intake is pretty high, but it's doubtful that'll ever change. I've always had a sweet tooth. And those are all things that and being obese doesn't help with the sleep disorder because you're breathing funky. And I know, like, for people, and Kaylin can answer this, but people with cats sleep on their chest and like snuff their nose out at night. When you wake up, I can't breathe, and you find your freaking cat laying on you. I mean, am I wrong?
Does Ki-
I'm sorry, I'm over here just dying because it's so true.
does Lulu do that?
Yeah, oh yeah. She loves laying on my pillow next to my face.
So, I mean, there's so many factors that go into how we dream, how we process sleeping. And so people with sleep disorder, like Matthew used to sleepwalk at night because of his sleep disorder. Now, I don't know if he still does that. I don't know if he grew out of that. Caitlin would have, when she was younger, like a toddler, had night terrors where she would literally scream her head off. Her eyes would be awake, but she wasn't cognizant of anything.
That's
And
what
then
I
she'd go
do.
back to sleep.
Yeah. It's scary.
Well, from the little
The
bit
thing
of
is,
research, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
go, no, go.
For the little bit of research that we did off air about the night terrors, commonly it's due to fatigue and being overtired. So it being common in toddlers just means they didn't have their nap that day.
Okay, well, and I was saying because Mark would literally let them watch horrifying movies, so age inappropriate. I know that was something that affected their sleep. It had to have. I blame him.
Oh, I'm positive. Yeah. And so I've had night terrors as well, where I wake up in a dead sweat screaming. And my thing is I remember almost every single one of my dreams, and I dream almost every night. What that means, I don't know. It's just interesting to find out that Katie, you never dream. Holly, you don't remember your dreams. And, someone like me who dreams almost every night and remembers them.
Oh, me,
So
I
it's just
never
kind of
remember. I
interesting to
always remember
see.
my dreams.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah,
And so it's just interesting to know like how each and every one of our brains is just different.
yeah, for sure. I want to talk about the pee dreams. Okay, so we've all had them. Okay, there's no getting around it. We've all had pee
I
dreams.
have not, but
I have a funny story if you'd let me share it before you get into it.
Okay, okay.
So I was in college and I had a pee dream, but I also happened to be on my monthly cycle. So I was wearing an overnight feminine pad And while I had the pee dream, I was actually peeing, but luckily the pad caught it all, so I didn't wet the bed.
I mean, honestly, okay. So, when you're doing research, and almost every single one of the interpretations was that you're trying to let go of something. And I'm like, when I have a pee dream and I'm looking for a bathroom in my dream because I have to pee so bad, I better wake up and go to the bathroom. That's what that means. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
let go of my full bladder,
Right.
okay?
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
It doesn't
Right.
make sense that I'm trying to, yeah, I'm letting go all right of,
Yeah.
but it's not
Please.
emotional. It's kind of funny, but very rarely, I mean almost all, I mean, I think probably 99.9% of my peeing dreams, I make it to the bathroom in time. But yeah,
I don't
it's
know if I've ever had a peeing dream, but
that's crazy.
have you ever thought about writing down your dreams to see if any of them have like meaning in your life? You
No, I
know,
don't care. I don't care that much.
you
Now,
don't care.
so
Wow.
sometimes, especially if I had a bad dream and especially if I like Caitlin's my psychotherapist, so I'm like, I just woke up from this dream, and then I proceed to tell her this 15-minute theoretical dream that I just had. She's like, "Oh my God." And because a
You know,
lot of times
it's
it
funny.
involves them. When I wake up from nightmare, it
Oh, yeah.
involves them.
And the reason why I started recording some of my more pronounced vivid dreams is because I know for 1,000% fact that some of my dreams are premonitions. And let me tell you about one, and I will absolutely 1000% never forget it. And I wish I knew back then what it was. So when Natalie passed away, and just for all of our listeners out there, Natalie is my cousin. And she passed away from an accident with then a respiratory failure at home. So when I had this dream, it was in two separate dreams. I was sitting, and this was when Natalie was still alive. I was sitting in the back of a truck or a dune buggy, and I remember looking out her shoulder. She was driving. And I remember because it felt like it was really cramped in the cab. I know it had to have been something like close. I couldn't see the vehicle, but all I remember is looking out at the sand and the sand dunes and then crashing and rolling. Okay. So about 2 weeks later, I had another absolutely vivid nightmare. And with that dream, I'm like, man, that was really weird. Like that was random and weird, and I didn't think anything of it other than, it was just a really strange nightmare, right? 2 weeks later, I had a dream that I had gone into, it was just really strange, a big warehouse. And all of a sudden, there was something chasing me down the stairs, and I kept running and running. And all of a sudden, I got out of breath. And the next thing I know, I actually saw Natalie laying on the ground, and it looked like she was out of breath on the ground. So that was a couple of months before then her passing. And so looking back, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like I know for a fact that was a premonition. Obviously, I didn't know how to translate it or what it was at the time. I thought it was just some kind of weird freaky dream that I always have. But you just can't tell me that premonition dreams are not real, and I've had several more that have actually come to light, and now when I start having those, I write them down so that I can be, oh my gosh, this may actually mean something.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't believe in those kind of dreams?
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, how do you explain that?
Um Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, just based on what you're saying, I mean, yes, I can see that happening, but I don't believe in, I don't believe in any, I'm very black and white. I am very scientific-y. Like this is the science. This is not open to this or this or this. So that's why I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe in Martians, or I don't believe in that they all
Well,
came
that's
down
a
to
whole
Earth and
nother
gave us
episode.
diagrams to build something. I don't believe in, but that's my belief. I don't pass that along to anybody.
Yeah. I totally get that. I never used to know about or believe really in premonitions and stuff like that. I always just thought it was a fluke. We've always heard about it. And then I had that dream and I'm just like, holy smokes. It was just really bizarre.
Yeah.
I do believe in aliens, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do too.
Well, you guys can have an
That's like
alien episode then.
a whole nother thing.
Yeah. So, how many of you guys dreamt about sex? Raise your hands. Raise your hand. Yeah, I knew it.
Of course.
Yeah. So, 70 to 80% of people dream about sex. That's it's so common.
And
Is
the
there a meaning? Is
20% that don't are children.
or don't know about the sex. Now, obviously, there's so many ways of discussing that. You're looking for the emotional connection. You're looking, if you're dreaming about one person, does it mean you really want to have sex with them, or you're just looking for a closer friendship? There's too many variables in interpreting sex dreams. Do you have a foot fetish that you want to, portray in a sex dream? I don't know. Not
Maybe you
me.
just don't get enough.
That too. That too. There's all sorts of ways of looking at sex dreams, but almost all of us dream about sex at some point or another. I don't know frequency. Is it one time a month? Is it three times a month? Is it once a year? I don't know. But I think it's kind of funny how popular that it or common, I should say, not popular, but common for all
Yeah,
adults.
also though, I mean, and we've talked about this in many episodes prior, where we have our culture now is so sex related that anything you watch on TV or anything you watch on your phone is really sexual. And so it's hard to kind of get away from that and your brain to kind of shut down sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. So, should we talk about Caitlin's lucid dreaming? Cait-
Yes, I'm interested.
What, Caitlin, what is lucid dreaming as opposed to, say, vivid dreaming, or as opposed to, I don't know the other.
So, lucid dreaming is basically like you're dreaming, but you are fully aware that you are in a dream. And because you're aware that you're in a dream, you can control that dream or what you're doing. And you know you're dreaming, so you could do whatever you want, right? I used to lucid dream quite a lot. Primarily, I would just fly. I liked flying when I was lucid dreaming. It it was fun. Like I would just launch myself off the ground and just fly around. Before I get further into the lucid dreaming, and then I'll talk about sleep paralysis as well, let's talk about the sleep cycles because that's going to play a huge part in what I have to discuss. So, your sleep cycle, there's 4 stages. Okay. Stage 1 is your very light sleep. You are still kind of awake, trying to fall asleep. It usually lasts anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes. It's very quick. Stage 2, it's also considered a light sleep, but you're getting more relaxed, your heart rate is slowing, and that stage 2 makes up almost 50% of your sleep. Stage 3 is your deep sleep. You this is where your body is repairing tissues. This is your very, very deep sleep. And that's why when you take a nap, you typically want your nap to wake you up in either stage 1 or stage 2. If you wake up from a nap in stage 3, that's when you're groggy and you're like, you don't feel like you got a good nap. Your stage 4 is your REM sleep. This is where your brain is active, and this is the stage where you dream, like your normal dreams that we've been talking about. Your muscles are paralyzed, and you, so you dream in REM sleep, and the overall cycle going through all stages lasts like out 90 to 100 minutes. And you do the sleep cycle multiple times in a night. So it just repeats. It goes all through all the stages just multiple times. So that's why sometimes people feel like they wake up multiple times a night because they're waking up after that cycle in their stage 1 sleep and then falling back asleep. But some people don't fully wake up when they come back around. They just stay asleep, and the cycle, it varies person to person. It's not like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and so on. But it can go back and forth. It fluctuates person to person, and so on and so forth. So your REM sleep, that's when you're dreaming, and that's when you can lucid dream. Lucid dreaming, it takes a lot of kind of training. You can't just decide one day, hey, I'm going to try lucid dreaming tonight. That's not how it works. You have to train your brain to do it. It's easier for some people, harder for others. Chris, you had mentioned keeping a dream journal. That's one very good method of teaching your brain to try to lucid dream. That's a good starting point if that's something that you're interested in. But lucid dreaming, it sounds really cool, but with my experience, what it ended up leading to was sleep paralysis. And I suffered from that multiple episodes spanning years of my life. Now, sleep paralysis, as I said, during REM, your muscles are paralyzed. So, sleep paralysis, you are kind of dreaming, kind of awake, very similar to lucid dreaming. But what a sleep paralysis episode looks like is like you wake up and you are in your room or wherever you're sleeping. So I would wake up, but I'm not really awake. I'm asleep. But I would feel like I'm awake. My body is completely paralyzed. Can't move. I can't talk. I can't scream. Nothing. All I can do is open my eyes. And a lot of people, if they are suffering from sleep paralysis, there will be some sort of shadow or demon-like figure that comes and just starts taunting you. And as my episodes got worse and worse, that shadow got closer and closer and closer, and to the point where it was on top of me and like choking me, and it was just very, very awful and terrifying. And it causes a lot of insomnia from that, and then it becomes a vicious cycle. The insomnia makes the episodes worse, the episodes make the insomnia worse, and it just is a vicious cycle that is very, very difficult to come out of. So, the lucid dreaming and the sleep paralysis, being that somewhere conscious, still kind of dreaming in, it's so close and such a fine line that that's why for me it led from one to the other. And I eventually climbed out of that, and I, like I said earlier, as I no longer dream. I couldn't even imagine trying to learn how to lucid dream again because I can't even dream in the first place. I'm sure I do dream. I don't remember any of it. I sleep very deeply now. A lot of my sleep paralysis episodes, I feel like were rooted in stress and other anxiety factors. But now in my life, I've let go from a lot of that stress and I just sleep very, very soundly.
Yeah, good. So,
Is that something so you taught yourself how to lucid dream?
Yeah, it's
Why? What was the fascination?
well, honestly, it was very, very easy for me to pick up, and I don't know why. Like some people really struggle with trying to learn and they could take months trying to train their brain. I didn't have that. I just all of a sudden like, oh, lucid dreaming's a thing. Let me try. Um, so I'm probably not the best uh, to talk about how to do it because I just kind of started doing it. There was some trigger in my dreams that I realized, oh, I'm dreaming. Oh, okay, wait. So you have to, from what I've researched and trying to teach people how to do it, is you have to have something in real life. A lot of people will wear like a rubber band around their wrist, and just throughout the day, they'll snap it on their wrist, right? And it hurts. It's like a little sting, right? All throughout the day. And then you get to the point where you do that so often, you'll start dreaming that you do it and it won't hurt. And you're like, wait, that was supposed to hurt. Wait, I'm dreaming. So you need some sort of trigger that lets you know I'm in a dream, and then you can start lucid dreaming from there.
That sounds terrifying.
I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I used to just fly around and
so
Yeah.
speaking of that, so I have dreams like that too, where I'm flying, but it's like, you know how we're playing Grounded right now, and you do the dandelion thing where you are like jumping off and you slowly float down.
yeah.
I have dreams similar to that, or sometimes I'll go up and then come back down or go back up. And I'm trying to get my feet back on the ground, but I can't. I can't figure out how to land, I guess. And and then I wake up like I'm jumping. Like I forget what that hypnotic jerk where you have that when you're trying to sleep and then your body like wakes you up from trying to fall asleep, but I'm trying to fly, but I don't want to fly, so I like wake up. It's the bizarrest thing about flying.
See, that's funny that you say that because when I was lucid dreaming and I was flying around all happy dory, when I wanted to wake up, I would land. And that landing motion was my hypnotic jerk that would wake me up.
Yeah,
But I had control of that. I did it when I wanted to.
yeah, I don't have control. I'm trying. Let me out of this plane, which is myself. And, it's like, I don't know. It's like you're on a trampoline. You're constantly going up and down, and then you go higher and higher. And I'm like, the ground's falling away. I need it to come back down.
That's
It's
rooted in your fear of heights.
Yeah, I agree.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That I
agree.
could see for
Yeah.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I definitely have a fear of heights.
Oh,
It
you do.
takes me a second to adjust my brain with the vertigo. It just turns my stomach so bad. I know we talked a little about the nightmares and the night terrors, but which the nightmares being a bad dream that causes you to wake up from sleep. Now, I think it's kind of funny how you say REM sleep only happens at this time. Um, and so I which is why some people can remember when they wake up from dreaming what their dreams were about, but then other people can't remember, which I think happens if they go to sleep. If they wake up throughout the night from dreams and then they fall back asleep, I think that has partly to do with remembering. Like when you wake up straight from a dream in the morning, that's when you can usually remember. Or no, am I
Right.
I
wrong?
agree with that. That's just fresh off your mind though,
That's what I'm
you
saying,
know?
right? So that's what I'm saying. So
So,
if REM
I mean,
sleep only happens this, then why can't
mhm.
everybody remember their dreams? But you're saying
So
it happens throughout the night. I don't know.
It does happen throughout the night. Now, just because you're in a REM cycle doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have to dream. That's just when dreaming will occur. So
Mm.
it happens multiple times a night. Sometimes, like I said, REM will lead you into stage one, which is your light wakefulness stage. But you don't necessarily have to be fully awake. It's that one's a kind of a weird stage, but stage one is you're almost awake. Like you're very easily woken from that stage, but you don't have to wake up from that stage. So if you didn't dream during REM, then you're probably just gonna keep sleeping, and you could skip stage one entirely and go into stage two or stage three. You don't, like I said, you can jump around. It's not a very definitive cycle.
I know deep sleep, you only have deep sleep for maybe an hour or two at night. The rest of it is the light sleep or whatever for a person, typically. But I digress. From nightmares, so the ones when you wake up from sleep, directly from sleep, it 35 to 45% of people wake up from nightmares a month. That's kind of a lot, I think. But the percentage of 2 to 6% only one time a week, that's pretty low. Well, I guess less than half the people wake up from nightmares. I don't know. Because you always hear, well, I had a nightmare last night. And
I do that a lot. I don't necessarily wake up from my nightmares.
well, that's what
You
a
know,
nightmare is. So it might just be a bad dream at that point, but nightmares will,
yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's kind of a scale, right?
I,
One person's nightmare might be another person's regular dream. Like it's definitely a scale, and
right.
you can be woken up from it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're waking up in a drenching sweat screaming. It's a scale. It's not this or that.
yeah. Like my heart will be pounding usually with my heart problems, I just wake up, my heart's like racing and racing.
Yeah, but I truly believe there's a difference between nightmares and night terrors. I really do have a lot of bad dreams. Can I call it a nightmare? I don't know. It's just maybe just how we've described some of our bad dreams. But I've also had night terrors where you truly do wake up terrified and screaming and almost like in a panic.
Yeah. But with the night terrors, it's pretty rare in adults. I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but like I said, you're usually waking up the screaming or crying like you're awake, but you're not awake. So, yeah, I don't know if you'd have to go see somebody. I don't know what.
No, I actually like dreaming. So I find myself wanting to dream more because I find it very interesting how my mind really plays out in my dreams. Like it's sometimes so random, it could be just some kind of happy, cheerful, weird, random dream, or it could be something really meaningful, or it could be something really terrifying. I just really find it fascinating when I dream, how I dream, what I dream. And then I've really started looking at how my previous day went. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's funny when you say that. So I constantly dream weird almost all the time, but when I was working, I would always have what I call work dreams. So people from work, or I was at work doing something, and I would constantly dream those types of dreams. And
Yeah.
that's why I say sometimes I can remember dreams that happened years ago because it involved working. And it would be like the weirdest dreams. And I don't know, that's definitely the brain processing something that either happened or is going to happen, that your brain is at work, because my job was very stressful. And so I feel like I always had to be on, in quotation marks, because I always had to have the answers ready to go. And so my brain would constantly be going and going and going. So I know that translated to my dreams.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But they'd be still weird
But what an
dreams.
interesting this is just such a fascinating topic to me, just because of how, I mean, we're all three so different in our beliefs, how we dream, what we dream. It's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, obviously, traumatic events help trigger dreams, emotional stress, financial stress. Although I don't dream about money, but maybe I'm sleeping in my car or something. I don't know. But it's just for sure the outside factors come into our sleep at night. That's why our brains are constantly dreaming about stuff that has happened. But I don't believe in the way that people interpret them that have a deeper meaning, I guess. Like I said, with the T thing representing people and they're falling out because you're going to lose somebody or something like that. I don't believe in that. Why can't
Only
something,
because that can be interpreted in like 50 million different
yeah,
ways. So,
that's what I'm saying, right? So, with the,
but you have to imagine, and I will say, Holly, and not to say anything, but some of the interpretations on dreams have to have some semblance of reality, right? It's interesting to think of when you do fly, like how freeing that is sometime, or when you do lift up on the ground, like sometimes the meaning of flying means that you're flying free or something's going right in your life and you're inside your system feels freed or whatever. There has to be some semblance of truth behind the interpretation.
so yeah, that I don't believe. Like that part I would not believe. Like Caitlin says, I'm terrified of heights. Why would I want to fly?
It's your subconscious, though. It's your subconscious thinking about that.
I mean,
Katie, I know you have something to say. I can see
I
it.
mean, it's just
I don't know. I feel like the way we interpret dreams, it's not going to be the same for everybody. You have to interpret it what it means
I
to
agree.
you and in your life. So with like Mama and the flying, we know that for her, it's probably rooted in her fear of heights. But for someone else, it might be what you said. I remember I had a dream when I was a teenager. I was being chased by a 5-foot dodo bird. Interpret that.
you're a dodo chasing
Right.
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Like
No one can no one can interpret you, Katie.
I had another dream where I was in a brawl with a moose. Like
Okay, well, first of all, you do still have a Mr. Moose.
that's true.
And thanks to Aunt Sissy who got that for you before you were a year old. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty crazy. I'm gonna try to find the oh,
The meaning of being chased by a dodo bird?
okay. Here was this dream. This happened March 11th. This is what I told Caitlin as soon as I got up. And this is my and I said it was weird, as my dreams always are. And I woke up because I told myself I was just dreaming. And nothing like my heart wasn't racing or anything. I just opened my eyes. But in my dream, I was just observing, and there was a guy that was dressed like a girl, and it was almost like a social experiment type thing. When I did talk about this topic before, but he or whoever wanted to see if she could fool men into thinking he was really a girl. And she got up in their faces and was singing or whatever. And these guys were sitting in chairs lined up. And all the guys were laughing and just being guys. Oh, that's right. I remember this dream now that I wrote that. And the first guy was all right. He had a red head and a beard, but it was kind of neat and had like a burly laugh. And he was holding her up so that her boobs were in his face, and at the end of his turn he reached out and touched the boobs. And she got out of his arms and then went to the next guy who were now they're riled up because they saw the first guy trying to, paw at her. And then the second guy who immediately started like mauling her and then pulling at her hair and trying to rip off her clothes. and didn't realize that like everything was like glued on, was screaming and crying, and I yelled and screamed like I was a god, like that loud. And I screamed at him so loud that they all just scrambled away to leave her alone, pulled her out, and wished I had a gun, and then realized when I was just comforting her, but realized I was dreaming and just told myself to wake up.
You that's a crazy dream, first off.
That's what I'm saying.
Um, but like, how would we even begin to interpret that?
Right?
There's, yeah, there's just certain dreams where you can't interpret it. It's just your subconscious playing with you. Like
Like,
I don't know, man.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, that's when you're like, Jesus, mama. And that's just the way my dreams go most of the time. Just these bizarre, where do they come from?
Yeah,
Was I
there's
watching a
no
TikTok before I went to bed?
play.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's a dream. Okay, so I had this dream back in December, and like I said, I don't dream hardly ever. So if I do dream and I remember enough to write it down, that's something. So a lot of times when I do dream, it involves some sort of fictional TV character or celebrities or my husband somehow. Just that's like all I dream about anymore. So in this dream, I wrote it down, so it's gonna be partially me just reading it. I was somehow oh excuse me, sorry, I'm still sick. I was somehow buddies with Matt Donovan, who is a character in the Vampire Diaries. So I was somehow friends with him, and he knew that he had the knowledge that I prefer Dave Franco to James Franco. Facts. So I was sitting next to Dave in the first row of some sort of auditorium. James walks by, all caked up, and I do like a hard stare, like head tilt, checking that ass out. And Matt decides to challenge my preferences between the two of them, and somehow I end up getting booed up with Dave. How do we interpret that?
man,
Like,
I don't know, Katie. You must have been reading something really crazy, though. That's all I'm saying.
oh no.
I think in my dreams, since they almost always involve something that I had, my dream was similar. I'm always afraid of getting raped, and I'm always trying to protect or my kids or something. I don't know. I feel like that's where my brain always goes to.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting, though, to think about? And again, it just kind of goes back to what have you done either right before sleep or during the day to have those kind of dreams. So
For sure. I mean, it always is probably going to have a factor. Like I said, Caitlin's dad would always let them watch these stinking movies, and I'm just not surprised that she would have those night terrors when she was so young.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
Those
don't
movies
know.
didn't affect me none. You
Okay.
definitely didn't trip over me sleeping next to your bed multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah, I'd wake up. Caitlin would literally on the floor next to me on sleeping. I'd always wake up, I'd step down. God, I'd almost always trip over her. I don't,
You guys wouldn't let me sleep in the bed no more, so that's my solution.
I mean, and so it's like, why would you, were you that scared, or was Shelby farting too much in her sleep? Was she, I don't know. Because I don't even know how old you were. At least like probably like 5 or 6 or 7. So, you were school age by then and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember it though. Like I remember doing that. You tripping
Yeah,
over me and stuff.
yeah.
It was always because I was scared.
Uh, Huh.
I don't know, but this was a really interesting episode. I really I really love this one.
Well, we'll figure out the special episode with our special guest. Not probably like in a month or whatever, but yeah, I think dreams are just our brain's way of saying you're you know what in life and you better just dream about it or move on along. Right. Any questions? Let's do a hen house check-in. What's one word describing our interpretation of our dreams? I can go first. Weird. I'm just weird. That's just a simple matter of fact anomaly about me.
I'm just gonna say fascinating.
I want to say rare. I don't dream hardly ever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. If you liked today's special podcast on why we dream, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Thank you for listening, and we'll save you a chair for next time.
Bye, hens.